You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Real quick before I go to a break, to see these ignoramuses from these other states stand behind Texas Attorney General, to me is crazy. To me, it's unbelievably crazy. And what's even more hilarious, 106 House Republicans signed an amicus brief saying overturn the election. 106. Now, here's what I find to be funny, Reese. How in the hell can you be a member of Congress from Georgia and Michigan and Pennsylvania and Ohio and say, overturn the results because voting irregularities, but you won? So all the votes in your race were cool, but it's the other race that was on the same ballot in your state that was bad. This is why, if you're Joe Biden, you can't trust none of these people. You can't sit down with these people. You can't take their word. These folks want to destroy democracy. They don't give a damn about the Constitution. They don't care about the rule of law. They don't care about norms and values. They have no principles. They are sick and demented, and you must treat them as such.
Absolutely. And I think, though, that we have to keep in mind that even though these lawsuits are not likely to prevail, I can't imagine that the Supreme Court is going to even hear the case. I mean, it's on the docket, which, by the way, does not mean that they're saying that it has any merit or they're agreeing to hear it. It just means that it's on the docket because they have jurisdiction. But I think we do have to be very wary of the fact that these people are still in power, not so much the House Republicans, but these 18 attorney generals who have signed on to this brief to support the Texas Attorney General. These are the people and their Republican legislators that are going to be over things like redistricting. They're going to be the ones that are going to be pushing for more voter restrictions. The guy down there in Georgia, he wants to now make it such that the assembly appoints Secretary of State instead of it being an elected position. And so the Republican Party, they're not about democracy. They're about white nationalism. They're about white supremacy and white domination. And so they're willing to discard anything. And we're not out of the woods when it comes to that part. This election, it's over. It's done. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be inaugurated. And there's no stopping that, but we cannot take it lightly what's happening. And these people are showing their hand and they're tipping their hand. Because they did that, we were allowed to, we knew, let's get these absentee ballots in, let's drop them off instead of mail, let's vote in record numbers. But we cannot let our guard down because these people are still going to be up to this no good activity for the next 2+ years.
This is real simple, Erica. This is sedition.
Mm-hmm.
These people are modern day Jefferson Davises.
Mm-hmm. They are. I mean, but these are people that do worship the Jefferson Davises, right? And then this scenario makes me think about back in 2012, Republican governors who signed on to a lawsuit to ensure that Medicaid would not be expanded to their states. You're talking about a time when the global economy had melted down, 2008, 2009. And you're talking about in areas, Georgia, many other states, that people did, in fact, need their health care, right? But these governors banded together to make sure that people that live in those areas, particularly Black, brown, and poor people, would not have access to health care. And so this goes back to one of the things that I say, and I'm saying it because it definitely has meaning. And engaged citizenry. Reese just talked about, we can't let our guard down. We cannot let our guard down, but that the onus is not just on the people that organize and mobilize around these particular issues that impact all of us. It is also on the people on the other side of these screens to stay abreast to know how is it that they can be empowered? How can they use their voice? How can they plug in to make sure that when they see acts like this that are happening, because Republicans are good at one thing, they don't give up. So when people were asking about where's the Tea Party, well, honey, they just evolved. They never went anywhere. They just evolved and expanded. So the onus is on all of us. There were 435 seats that were up in Congress for this election. There will be 435 seats that will be up in 2 more years. But people have got to be engaged now. They've got to be engaged January 2021, and they've got to be engaged January 2021, and every day thereafter.
The thing here, Greg, I don't trust none of them. None of them. And look, and if you're willing to be silent in the face of this, and again, I disagree with Pat Toomey on a whole lot, but he has been blasting the attacks on voting there in Pennsylvania. And these people, no, you're not going to be able to mediate, partner, call it bipartisanship, call it being collegial. No, these are people who care nothing about tearing up and destroying the nation, all because of the bruised ego of Donald Trump because he lost. They cannot be trusted.
No. And Eric is right. This is only, Trump is not the cause. Trump is a symptom of this larger problem. Again, and people don't necessarily like to grapple with it, but I say it all the time. This is not a nation. It's a settler state with many different nations in it. And at key moments, it has glimpsed the possibility of peaceful coexistence. And at certain moments, usually when fighting a foreign enemy, either legitimately or not, a sense of unified identity. But it's really not a place where people imagine the thing in a common fashion. So what we're facing right now is the continuing move toward the confrontation with this very simple fact. It's very simple. See, when we hear, President-elect Biden talk about the Constitution, talking about reaching across the aisle, it's a fantasy. But the problem is that it was never a time in the history of this country when it wasn't a fantasy. And so what you have, the Republicans who will not acknowledge that Biden-Harris won are held hostage by their voters. In the 240-some year game of hot potato between the political parties, the GOP now has the hot potato. In order to win any more elections, they have to hold that potato. So they're really acting in the only way they have left to them. Finally, the question of these lawsuits to me is very encouraging. I'm encouraged by these things because what it really does is it reveals the thing that we're going to have to face sooner or later. When the Attorney General of Ohio says that you don't have original jurisdiction, the Attorney General of Georgia, Republicans, say you don't have original jurisdiction, they're bringing up a point of law. Texas doesn't have original jurisdiction. The Supreme Court really was set up in some ways, and I was reminded this by a brilliant lawyer and law professor who was telling me this today. The Supreme Court was really set up to mediate disputes between the states. So original jurisdiction for the Supreme Court, meaning that's where you go to file the case originally, their jurisdiction comes when there are conflicts between the states. This is not a case of original jurisdiction. They have appellate jurisdiction when it comes to disputes on elections because its disputes on elections go through the state courts. So Texas doesn't have standing to file this. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what the court does.
Yep.
If they issue a ruling or an opinion that's longer than a paragraph, they have revealed yet another layer to the fiction that is the United States structure, which is you're willing to even entertain this on the merits. I am really looking forward to seeing what happens because some of those amicus finally that were filed today include friends of Clarence Thomas, Danford, friends of Alito, Christine Todd Whitman signed on. I'm reading through some of the amicus language, and I'm fascinated about the fact that these people are willing to throw away the entire concept of America, or better yet, willing to reveal that was always fictional. It's only what human beings agree to and consent to together that makes a thing real. This is all words on paper until enough people agree to make it real. It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom,
Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have, you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.